Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
And I'm Brittany Pacheco, and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the third episode of Agatha All Along, the new Disney Plus Marvel television series. The third episode is titled Through Many Miles of Tricks and Trials. And Brittany, let's get right to it. What did you think about this episode overall?
Best episode thus far. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to give it that entirely because the fact that we only have 3 episodes, but in terms of story progression and learning more about a little bit more about the backgrounds of each witch that's now part of Agatha's coven, albeit the exception of Teen. But I'm going to say there was some foreshadowing here about Teen. But overall, I think it was an excellent episode. I love the fact that they're not going super hard with these special effects, the visual special effects. Like everything is pretty practical, it
Yep.
seems. And I think having grown up the way that, in the era that we grew up in, where it wasn't heavy with special effects in movies and uh, movie magic was more, like, as I said, practical. And so I love how we're kind of tapping back into that. The sets look incredible. I loved the costume change for the first trial that everyone was encountering.
Yeah.
And as I said, getting a little bit more background in a way of each witch. And it got spooky. It actually really got spooky during those moments inside that house of the first trial. So yeah, this episode was really well done. I think shocking ending. I have to
Yeah.
admit. I I hope this isn't the last we see of this particular person.
Yeah. I same thing. I was very surprised by the ending. We won't spoil that right away. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Um, But no, this is a really good show.
Mhm.
This was not my favorite episode, but I mean,
Ooh,
they're all, like, right there. I mean, like, I think this episode just didn't I mean, besides the ending, I think this episode didn't have the big moments that I think the first 2 episodes had, like, we're not gonna get into it again, but the sexy fight was a big moment. It's a big moment for me, but it's a big moment in the
God.
show, the first episode. The second episode, of course, when they're singing the song, the ballad of the Witch's Road,
Mhm.
that's kind of like a, highlight for the whole season. But this
Yeah.
episode was really strong. I do enjoy the Witch's Road. I enjoy the trials. It's almost like playing a video game. You gotta beat the first level to get to the second level and so on.
Right. And
And
everyone had a little part where they
yeah,
were highlighted. It wasn't just very, I mean, yes, it was in a way kind of gen-centric heavy, right? But I think everyone had a little part to play. It wasn't just focused on entirely on one person at all.
yeah. So we learn right away in this episode that we pick up from last episode where they were on the road. Now they're walking on the road. They learn that they have to pass these trials. And the first one makes them face their worst fears, right? Their worst nightmares come to life in this as they're on the road.
Mhm. Well, first and foremost, Justin,
Yeah,
rule number 1, walking the road. Don't get off the
exactly.
road.
Right, don't step off the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hart, aka Sharon, does step off the road, and she starts to sink into some muddy ground. I
Mhm.
did like how she had her, like, purse with her bag, and she's like, "This is from Talbot's, you can't have it," as it's, like, sinking. That was funny.
That was funny. Yeah, and this is where I say, I liked how everyone kinda had, a moment that they were highlighted in during this episode because as Sharon, AKA Mrs. Hart, was, sinking into this ground, it was the protector witch who actually came to rescue her with the assistance from the rest of the coven, if you will. But, I liked how what their titles are, what they're meant to serve in this coven on this journey on the road. It's actually, being played out well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you, and, I did like how, the members of the coven had not seen the fact that, Teen can't say his name, and when he says
Mhm,
his name is covered, and we
mhm.
learn that's a sigil. Now, I know, Brittany, you're very familiar with sigils in the Harry Potter world.
Yes.
Um, what about in how they describe a sigil in this show?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember how they explained it,
Basically,
sorry.
it's the
It's
sigil that
far off.
is a spell that, um, you know keeps him from saying his name. That's what they're saying.
Mm,
And then
yes.
the witch is
So
also, they reveal that he's from witch folk. So he is of,
he's of
yeah,
that kind, if you will.
right.
So in a way, I guess one could kind of correlate the like to Harry Potter. There's young witches and wizards who are born into wizarding families, but sometimes the gift is not passed on to all of them. In this case, perhaps the full capacity of the gift is not passed on to Teen, or unless he's bound and no one knows this, because we literally don't know anything about Teen.
Yeah.
Anytime he tries to utter something personal, it's silence, right? The sigil appears across his mouth as he says his name, or the sound of his voice just completely goes mute. So it's interesting, like I said. Now you're making the correlation between this and Harry Potter. Some kids don't have the gift,
Mhm.
and some have to, kind of work at it. McDorks, aka Christian, is joining us in the chat today. Thank you so much for being here. Don't spoil this for us, Christian, please. He says, I sadly know who Teen is. Oh my gosh. I have an inkling. I have an idea of who Teen may be, given on some lines that Jen said to Teen about Agatha's past, if you will. But we'll cover that momentarily.
I was going to ask you to go ahead and share
Oh,
your thoughts on that if you wanted to. Yeah.
that being said, okay, fine. We'll just jump right into it. And Christian, please do not confirm or deny anything that I'm saying. This is just a theory based on when the coven enters the first trial in that house.
Mhm.
Looks like there's some wine that they need to pop open and drink and what have you. Teen goes to look for the screwdriver, just kidding, bottle opener. I don't know why I said that. I need a
I
screwdriver.
mean, you could probably use this. I mean, it's not the best tool for that, but maybe you could, right?
Well, Jen takes the opportunity to speak to Teen privately to basically say, like, hey, you need to be careful with Agatha because she's not to be trusted. She even gave up her own child, her own son, to get a hold of the Dark Hold, which is the book that Wanda ended up using and kind of made her a little cuckoo. But Jen goes on to say that the rumors are either her child died or he's an agent of Mephisto, which
Right.
is the very first mention that we've ever had of Mephisto here in the MCU.
Yeah.
Although we were thinking about that in WandaVision. But the interesting thing that Jen leaves off with basically is saying that Agatha probably wouldn't even know her son if he stepped on her front porch or was at her door. And I'm like, ah, ah. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm like, that was said purposefully. Like, you don't say something like that without maybe that following through for
Yeah.
something. But then again, could very much be wrong. But I just think it's something to pay attention to for sure. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's either got to be Agatha's son or Wanda's. I mean, to me, that's got to be one or the other. And I did
I'm gonna
notice
go
a
with
couple
with Agatha's son for
with
sure.
Agatha. I did notice there's a couple references that Teen makes where he mentions something about his parents. He mentions something about his dad, and he says it
Yes.
like in like kind of present tense, like not like it. I mean, it happened in the past, but it's not like they're gone. So
Mhm. It
that
seems
made
like they're
me
very present.
right. That made me lean toward being Wanda's kid. I mean, the fact that it was rumored before that he was playing a character named Billy Kaplan. And
Mhm.
we've seen nothing on screen that would
Yeah.
say that, but
Or
yeah,
the idea of having parents, could he also be living in an illusion much similar to what Agatha was living in Westview?
could yeah,
I I don't know.
definitely.
I don't know. Going back here in the chat, Christian says, funny how Wanda gave everything to the Darkhold to get her kids, and
Mhm.
Agatha gave everything, including her kid, for
Yeah,
the Darkhold. Yeah, the
we
comparison's wild.
and we see a
Um,
hallucination of that where
mhm.
she goes to, like, a crib and the Darkhold is under the cover.
Yeah, and it terrified Agatha.
Yeah.
Like, she truly one thing that was also mentioned on the road, and I'll get back here in the chat momentarily, was that everyone was going to have to overcome their worst fears, basically. Like, guard yourself. You're going to have to overcome these trials, tricks and trials, which is part of the title of this particular episode. So I like the fact that we're getting that tie-in of the titles to the episode, and it's all based on the ballad thus far. Christian does go on to say, I don't think Agatha really did it regarding giving up her child for the Darkhold. I think there is more to the story. So also, Christian, I mentioned this to Justin the other day, and about Teen having said that his mom died or was dead in episode 2, but
No.
Teen was talking about how his mother had gone to go see oh god, what's her
Alice's
name?
mother? Is it Alice's mother?
Is that her name? Yeah, Alice.
Because Alice's mother is the one who's the
Who's
rock
gone
star.
missing or
Right.
died.
Right.
Right. So I think that's what he was
Right.
perhaps maybe saying, like, oh, my mom went to go see her before she died. And that's kind of like, it's very ambiguous.
Yeah.
Saying like, see her before she died. Well, she the mother or she the rock star? You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it's wrong, but
probably meant to be vague,
I don't know.
where you can think either way, because they're that's who this character is from is obviously a big mystery to this show thus far, and probably for much of the season, I would guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be either. It could be, I don't know. It's so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, also, like, going back to the beginning of the episode with the Witch's Road, like, all the other witches didn't even believe it was real.
Yeah,
That was
that's
like
true.
that was kind
That's
of
true.
like a, but I mean, they'd all heard of it, but I guess they just heard of it because of the song. But then we learned that the song is instructional. It tells you
Mhm.
what you need to do, which, like you said, Brittany, I think every episode titled this season is going to be a lyric or a line from the
From the
song.
ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool. Like that, I think that's tough. That's tougher to do than you would think.
Yeah.
That concept for a show. So I appreciate this show on a lot of levels, and the way it looks, obviously, with the practical sets and everything. But you can tell a lot is put in the show, just like what they did with WandaVision, where
Yeah.
there's going to be people who are looking for Easter eggs, and they're giving you stuff, and
Mhm.
it may just be like a smokescreen for something else. But
Yeah.
a lot of cool stuff in this episode. The Mephisto thing was definitely a surprise to hear
Yeah.
someone say that. Whether
Mhm.
we actually see that character, I don't know, but, that was a surprise.
Yeah, and hopefully that's gonna pay off at some point. I hope, it could pay off towards the end, or it's going to be somehow incorporated into other storylines for maybe other projects. I'm not sure, but I don't think MCU has done this thing where they say something or do something and then doesn't pay off ultimately at some point. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just have to wait and see.
And the Mephisto part of it might just be like a call out because, like you said, during WandaVision, when that show was airing, everyone was all over that, and that's when most of us learned who Mephisto was, because everybody was,
Right.
like, pointing to that character being there, and, maybe, obviously Jack Schaefer worked on WandaVision,
Hmm.
and this is kind of like a little nod to the fans who were calling for that. That's all it is,
Maybe.
just a mention.
Ah, damn.
I don't know. We'll find out, though.
Yeah, we'll find out, hopefully. Yeah. So, but again, thank you, Christian, and thank you,
Yep,
King B. Johnson, for both being here in today's chat. We hope
I
you are
appreciate it.
enjoying it.
Yeah,
Let us know your thoughts, of course, on this episode of WandaVision. Listen to me, Agatha, all along. Just kidding. I missed the show.
I've been doing that too. Like, when I've been thinking about this show, I keep, like, in my head, I keep calling it WandaVision for some reason. I don't know,
Ah, okay.
continuation of
Well,
it.
yeah. Christian makes a point here. Well, Agatha was working with Mephisto and created Wanda's kids. So,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Well, she's obviously on her journey to get her purple back, as she said. And in doing so, we go to this first trial. I'm not sure how many trials there may be, judging by the amount of episodes that we're going to get. I
Right.
wonder if it's going to be like, okay, episode 3 was a trial, episode 4 is going to be like continued journey. They might run into some hiccups here and there. I would think it would work in numbers of 3, but
Or it
I'm
might
not entirely
be
sure.
7, because there's
Oh,
7.
7.
Yeah,
Yes, 7 is a powerful number in witchcraft, so that's interesting. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good point.
I don't know.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. But this definitely had a lot to do with needing Jen's expertise,
Right.
because she's the potions guy, right?
Right.
And that wine that I mentioned earlier, which Mrs. Hart, the non-witch, it appears to be,
AKA
who,
Sharon Davis. Yeah.
aka
That's
Sharon
her
Davis, yeah.
real name. Right.
Sharon. She's like, I've had a very hard day. Like, I need to, treat myself. She's the first person to open the bottle of wine, pour herself a nice little drinky drink. I don't blame her. And she transforms. I mean, good golly, the
Swollen face. Yeah.
swollen plastic, big lips, big cheeks, just all these over exaggerated features across the face. It's just like plastic surgery gone wrong, right? But it wasn't just her, right? Everyone, with the exception of maybe Agatha and Teen, who's underage, everyone partakes in this wine. They all start seeing the effects of having drank said wine.
Yeah.
And then Jen's like, oh my God, it's poison. And now they all have to work together to figure out what's the antidote. They have to scour the house to get ingredients. And this is where things get interesting.
Yeah. We learn that the poison's called Ale's wife. Are you familiar with are any of these terms crossing over with Harry Potter or with
Oh God, no.
No.
No, I think this Harry Potter obviously is fantasy, and sure, there's elements of certain things that are derived from witchcraft or what have you, but I am not very familiar at all with any potions, poisons, that kind of thing. That's not my wheelhouse of knowledge.
Right.
So I'm sure if there are others out there who are watching the replay or will eventually join us in the chat, that they can share with us their wealth of knowledge on the subject. But I feel like this I can talk, I swear to God. I feel like this show has thus far done a really good job in terms of research and making sure that everything that they're going to show and convey to the audience is going to be as accurate as possible. I'm sure there's a consultant somewhere who's well versed and is like, yeah, this is what this needs to be called. This is how you make an antidote. This is the modern equivalent to the ingredients and what have you. So I think it's I think it's I think it's well researched. And Christian, you're gonna make me blush. How do you know, Britt, when you have a spell on me? I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. There you go.
Was not expecting you to sing tonight, but
I was not expecting to sing that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, very good. What did you think about the beach house that they find? They're on the road, this dark and dreary road, and all of a sudden they find this sandy beach house in the light. And once they arrive there, they're magically transformed into different outfits, different looks. What'd you think about the looks of all the members of the coven and Teen?
It's cute. It was very well done. It's like obviously outside of maybe everyone's element, except perhaps Mrs. Hart, aka Sharon, because she's like, bury me in that kitchen. And it's like a little bit of foreshadowing in a way, a little bit.
Well, and she also, whenever they see the house, she says like, this could be the end. And which spoiler, we're gonna talk about now. It was the end for Mrs. Hart.
So it seems.
AKA Sharon. I mean, that's I was gonna ask you that. Do you think that this is the last we see of Debra Jo Rupp's character, or will they use some kind of magic or some kind of spell to bring her back?
I mean, these women, the covens without actual powers. I mean, that's why they're walking this road, is to gain their juice back, right? And I agree with Christian here. If she really gone, I will be pissed. Okay? Like, for sure. I will be pissed.
But if she is gone, they have an opening for a green witch, which that's the label that Agatha gave to Sharon, aka Mrs. Hart. That would probably mean that the green witch of Rio Vidal would return, Aubrey Plaza, who we have not seen since episode 1. I have to feel like that in this 4th episode, which is next week's episode, that she will appear. And I think solely because when this show was sent out for reviews and for advanced screeners went out to influencers and critics alike. They all received the first 4 episodes. So I feel
Mhm.
like we're gonna see Aubrey Plaza come back in episode 4 because they usually like to give them a nice chunk of the story leading into the rest of the season, which, that's kind of
Yeah.
the halfway point. So
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't see how Rio can, well, I mean, I'm sure she knows how to get to the road as well, but if from the understanding is that you have to access the road with your coven, like who's her coven?
mhm.
I mean, are we gonna be outnumbered? Are we going to, how which make it make sense for her to be there and
Yeah.
then willingly join Agatha's coven to walk this road and what have you. I don't know. I I'm not gonna try to think too much into it because then I'll develop expectations and I don't want to do that. So
Well, do you
um
think maybe her coven is that Salem 7 that we saw in episode 1?
it's
Because we
possible. I
'cause
think that was Agatha's former coven.
right.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm,
Or
I'm
maybe
not
it's
sure on the
episode
details.
I think maybe it's episode 2. I think I'm wrong about that. I think they're
When we saw the
referenced
Salem 7.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're referenced in episode 1, and we really saw them in episode 2. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I agree. I don't know. I'm just here for the journey along the witch's road as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Christian makes an interesting comment. All I know is I realized the last 2 episodes, all of them, the coven, wore a necklace, and I told Michael, his husband,
Mhm.
that
That's
means
interesting.
something, and that it's their amulet. And amulets are very important in
Okay.
the in the craft, if you will. So just like how Teen asked Alice about her tattoo,
Right.
they tend to ward off, evil, or, they're used as protection and what have you. So I didn't notice this, Christian. So thank you for pointing it out. I'll have to do a rewatch and see if she was still wearing the necklace or not, because as I said, this wine was poison. They all have to work together to try to, make the antidote. But Mrs. Hart took it far worse than the others because she
Mhm.
really falls under the symptoms really, really quickly. Whether that's because she is actually not a true witch or not, I'm not sure. But it seemed like either she was on the verge of death when she was given her portion of the antidote,
Mhm.
or it was just too late. I don't know. Or maybe she
Yeah.
just drowned because there was a lot of water that entered the house
Yeah.
in that final moment. So it's a lot of unknowns at
Yeah,
this point.
because there's a timer that starts. It's a 30-minute timer in the episode,
Yeah.
and they give her the potion as the time is expiring. So it's hard to know, if the potion even made it to her before she died. But I do wanna mention that, first of all, they drink red wine, which, could be called scarlet. It's scarlet color, scarlet witch. That's something, right?
Red, red
But
wine.
but also, whenever, everyone there is facing these hallucinations, these nightmares, and Mrs. Hart or Sharon, her nightmare involves Wanda, where she actually calls out to Wanda from
Yep.
one of the episodes in WandaVision, maybe the first or
Yep.
second episode, where her husband's like choking at that dinner scene,
Mhm.
and she's telling her, "Wanda, stop it," or Wanda, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know,
Yeah.
that means something, right?
That's a good call, Christian here, and I know he recently rewatched all of WandaVision in preparation for Agatha all along. He says Mrs. Hart was a drunk, I think. She looked depressed in a flashback in WandaVision and her husband died. She loved
Okay.
that wine a little too much. I believe she was drinking in that flashback as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each witch's or person's nightmare uh leaves some sort of trauma,
Yeah.
in their minds, and that's obviously what this trial is going to be about, is facing the fears and what have you, and tricks are being played on their minds. With Lilia, who's the, am I saying that right?
Yeah. No, no, Lilia, you got it.
Lilia,
Yeah.
Lilia, the Sicilian witch, who's, divination is her craft. She is walking down the hallway and she stops and sees like this beautiful, like Renaissance sort of young woman who's speaking Sicilian to her. And
Mhm.
she ends up following her down the hallway through a door. And there's like this, corpse type person sitting at a table, and then behind that person looked like a hooded figure. Maybe that's a hint towards the Salem 7 if they made their way down the Witch's Road. I don't know, but it scared the crap out of Lilia. Scared the crap out of me, okay? Like, I was not ready for that. I don't do horror, people. I don't do jump scares. Christians should know this at this point. We did Halloween Horror Nights a couple weeks ago. I don't do this stuff. I don't. Okay. So the level of spookiness, along with like the comedy and the drama and what have you, like the show is just giving us a little bit of everything, which I really, really enjoy. What did you make of Lilia's I'm gonna get her name.
No,
right
Lilia, you got it.
Lilia.
Yeah, Lilia Calderu is how you say
What did you make of her worst fear or nightmare?
To me, hers was the most vague, I think, or the most like the one that I was like, I didn't really totally understand, I guess.
Right.
You know, because we're, you know, some of these characters are not going to get the same screen time that, of course, like Agatha does. But no, I like this cast of characters, and I think it would, you know, I think, you know, showing their different traumas and different things they've gone through during their lives. I think that was really interesting. Like, you know, with Jen, she had this doctor who's like trying to drown her in the sink.
Yeah.
And then you had Alice, who sees her mother trying to commit suicide in a sauna, talking about how her grandmother died that day.
Well, it was a sauna that transformed into what looks like a dressing room, maybe like
Okay.
for one of her after one of her performances.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I kind of got lost in that a little bit. I mean, like I've watched it twice now, but
yeah. It definitely transformed into like a dressing room because there's like a mirror, there's a little vanity, there's
that makes sense.
you know,
Yeah, because
her
even the
mother
mother was in
she
like
was
a
dressed.
performance outfit. Yeah. So
yeah, and she remarks how her mother, so Alice's grandmother, passed away today, and even though she's thousands of miles away, she could still feel it. And then she like out of nowhere yells out, "I can't protect you." And going back to what I was mentioning earlier about Teen questioning Alice's tattoo, it's a protection tattoo that she got when she was 13. Her mother basically had said the reason for getting this is because all the women in their family are cursed.
Yeah.
Cursed with what? I don't know, but that's a little bit of, you know, information that we got from Alice at this point. And I'm damn well curious about what is Jen's background with this doctor who basically said that she is, I guess, like an insufferable woman or something along those lines. I'm like, what the hell is your problem? My goodness.
And speaking of Alice, I want to point out, and Brittany, I mentioned this to you off mic, but I was watching the Real Rejects and they were doing their review of this episode. I love the podcast. But anyway, they mentioned that the actress who plays Alice, Ali On, she was actually in Supernatural. And so I immediately went to you and I was like, do you remember this person? I looked her up on IMDb. So she's no stranger to the world
Supernatural.
of the Supernatural, the world of magic. So
no,
that was
none
kind of a
whatsoever.
cool, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember precisely what season her character Dagon was in, but for sure I do remember her. Her character was like a princess of hell, high-ranking demon, if you will, who was after another character who was pregnant with another demons, a pretty important demons. Well, not a demon, angel. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. So I
just to put a button on it, you did watch the entire run of Supernatural, which is like 15 seasons, like in the past year or two. What was it? Was it a year ago?
took
Or
about a year.
yeah,
I want to say, yeah, I watched
So,
that with Amber. And if you're ever gonna watch this, Amber, I both love and hate you for making me watch that damn series. I think she got a little bit of pleasure out of watching me watch the series, and she like knew everything, of course, that was going to happen. And I'm over here like dying because characters I love were being tortured or dying and whatever. Anyway, that's beside the point.
And if Amber's watching this, I hope she's watching Agatha all along too, because I think it's a show that she would enjoy. So
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Back to the episode. What did you think about how they their method of escaping the home from the water that's coming through the window? The exit is the oven in the kitchen, which turns into a slide back to the road. What did you think about that?
I don't know. That made me think of Hansel and Gretel. A witch who would trap these children and give them candy and sweets and horrible, things
Yeah.
that are ultimately horrible for them in order to keep them as bait, if not bait, but you know what I'm trying to say. To ultimately cook them and feed on them, right? So I thought that was like, that's actually kind of funny to me that the witches would have to escape via a chute in the oven. And yeah, because fire and witches apparently don't, go together very well.
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
they escape through the oven, turns into a slide, which looked like a fun thing for the actors
Oh yeah.
to partake in. Um, they leads them back to the road and back to their old clothes. So I thought it's interesting how, and I feel like that's going to be a theme every time they're on one of these trials. You're going to see them in a different outfit, and
Yeah.
then they'll come back to the road in the clothes that they began.
But are we going to lose someone every single time? Is my question.
That's a good question. Yeah,
I mean, obviously it happened with Mrs. Hart, aka
yeah,
Sharon. How and if and when they revive her,
yeah.
God willing. Yeah, I mean that would be I think I would be a little annoyed if we lost someone
Mhm.
during every single episode. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I know there's like a formula of, sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. I just personally think that that would not be the best approach to take us through.
I agree. I agree. I mean, the math might check out because there's 6 episodes left. There are 6 people left in the coven. Well,
Mm,
I guess Teen is not a part of the coven technically, but with the coven. So,
yeah.
and
Oh
Teen
God.
Teen is one of the 6, I believe. Do the
Mm,
math real quick. Yeah, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or no, are there 5? No, I think there's only 5. You have
Okay, let's count
Agatha.
it out. There's
Yep.
Agatha, Jen,
Alice,
Lilia,
Lilia,
Alice,
Teen. Yeah.
Jen.
There's
Yeah.
only 5. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
We just
That
did math.
sucks.
Yeah, we counted on the
We can
podcast.
count.
It took both of us. I mean, you did it. I was just kinda along for the ride 'cause I was kinda I don't know. In my head, it sounded good. There were 6 left, but there's only 5 people left. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I did like, I'm just thinking, because you talked about the slide, and that must have been fun for the actors,
yeah.
to do, again, practical, movie magic, if you will. Um, I would personally would love refillable wine glasses. Hold the poison,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
refillable wine glasses
Yeah.
would be fantastic.
Yeah. I could understand you liking that. Yeah.
Just saying.
Um,
Just saying. I did notice the label on that wine bottle, Justin. Okay,
mhm,
I'm a little bit of a wino people. Sorry.
mhm.
It did say Reina on the uh on the label. So like Reina as in a last name, not like Reina, the Spanish word for like queen or something like that. But I thought initially I was like, Reina? Rio?
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm thinking too much into this. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
No, that
Uh
makes sense.
Christian here in the chats asked us, did y'all notice how Agatha protected Teen from drinking wine like a mother would do? She is instinctively protective of him. Yes, I did notice that.
True, but
That's a
she
great
had
point.
she had no trouble slitting his hand open for the blood to so they could
Well,
make their
it,
their potion to get out of there. So,
I mean,
yeah.
the ingredient, the last ingredient called for
Yeah, no,
Teen.
it did.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the
it-
blood of someone who didn't drink the wine, right? So,
or someone who, yeah, something along those lines. I can't remember
yeah.
precisely what it was, but I mean, everyone again is serving some kind of purpose
Yeah.
of participating in this road. Like I said, it wasn't 100% fully Jen centric, but she had a huge role to play in terms of finding the antidote for the poison that they consumed.
Yeah. And I did like how the episode ended because throughout the whole 3 episodes so far, every time that someone says Mrs. Hart corrects them and says Sharon or Sharon Davis
Mhm.
is my name
Sharon.
over and over, over and over and over.
Yeah.
I do like at the very end of the episode, they arrive back on the road. They've survived the first trial. as Lilia says, everyone's alive, everyone's fine. Then Teen says, no. Sharon died. Sharon didn't make it.
Mhm.
And then we get the joke that was a great way to end the episode was Agatha saying, "Who's Sharon?" Not knowing that Mrs. Hart was Sharon all along. So
Mhm. Oh, okay. So Christian is saying regarding the hand slicing. Slicing hand for blood is a common witch practice for great magic. So to her, it was nothing. So
yeah,
what's one small sacrifice of a teen, for ultimate cosmic power?
exactly.
If you don't know that line, I'm just gonna be very disappointed. I'm not talking about you specifically, Justin. I'm just saying people in general. You have a slight pass in a way.
Thank you. I will use that path. Trust me, I will definitely use that path. Is there anything else? Now, granted, this episode is only 39 minutes, and that's with the credits and everything. So
Mhm.
you take out the credits, this is a 30, and take out the flashback, the previously on, about a 33, 32-minute episode. So pretty quick
Yeah.
episode, very, very contained.
Yeah.
Is there anything we didn't mention that you want to talk about from the episode?
I think we pretty much hit all the high points. Granted, short episode thus
Yeah.
far, but it progressed. It carried, I think it told the story well, and I think it's obviously setting up for okay, then the opening of the next episode. Like, what are they gonna do now that Sharon isn't alive? I mean, are they gonna try to revive her, or are they just gonna like leave her and let the road, do whatever it will with her? Or is she gonna be like, gotcha, kind of situation? Like, is her death going to transform her into someone that they actually need, because they still needed a green witch, right? I don't know what to expect really, but in terms of this episode, I think a lot of the I think for what we got of it, I think it was just extremely well done, and I'm curious to see what other fears are going to be shared, or are we going to build on those fears, like especially with um the divination witch. I swear to God, I cannot remember or say her name to save my GD life.
Patti LuPone plays Lilia Calderon.
I want to call her
Yeah.
Lila, Lilia. Um, I want to get more backstory on her, like because she had said something in Sicilian about like they're all dead or something. They're all dead now. Whether that's referring to something from her past or if that's foreshadowing the future, because at one point when she's tag teaming with Agatha to find the petroleum jelly, she blurts out saying something along the lines of like, save Agatha.
Yeah.
Not putting together that she's actually with Agatha, talking, looking at her, and Agatha's like, yeah, I like that plan.
Right,
So
right.
yeah. Anyway, Christian, please be safe. I know that Florida's kind of getting hit with some weather right now. So thank you for joining. Appreciate you being here. Love you.
Yep.
Please be safe.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining. All your
Yeah, very
thoughts.
much
Yep.
so.
Very good.
Yeah.
And we know about that kind of weather. We experience that a couple times every year, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. Although Christian did tell me to move to Florida. I'm like, it's the same shit, different state,
But Brittany, we live in Houston, Texas, the energy capital of the world.
I know the
And when our
irony.
power goes out, we don't have power for
Days.
weeks. Yeah, days into weeks. So
Yeah.
what good is it to be
Cheers.
the energy capital of the world if you don't have energy when you need it the most?
I know, but I would be closer to Christian, and I could go to
Valid
Disney and Universal more often.
valid point. I think you would enjoy that perk.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, that about does it for the Agatha all along portion of the podcast. I want to mention one other thing about Marvel this week. They dropped a trailer. They dropped a teaser trailer for Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Thunderbolts with an asterisk at the end of it. And the teaser trailer is like 3 minutes long, which is long for a teaser trailer.
That's long for a teaser.
Brittany, I shared it with our what'd you say?
I said that's long for a teaser, and I'm like, wow, what is wrong with me today? I cannot speak.
It's okay. We're getting toward the end of the week. We're just trying to make it. But no, Marvel dropped a Thunderbolts trailer for the movie comes out in May 2025. And I want to get did you get a chance to watch the full trailer? And it's a teaser trailer, by the way. And what do you think about what you saw?
Okay, so no, I didn't
Okay,
get to
so
watch
no.
the full teaser, but from what little I did
Yeah.
see, give me all the Florence Pugh
Yeah.
and give me all Bucky Barnes, okay?
Yep.
Like, they're the 2 that I'm really honestly here for. Like, I'm very excited that, that, uh uh, that we finally got something out of it. I know, Christian, I'm being a huge disappointment right now. I know it's hard to love me at times. I'm being canceled probably. How dare I? Yes, indeed. I know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go look at it after this pod. Okay. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Justin, please. And you're not gonna spoil anything for me, obviously,
No.
because I'm
No,
gonna
no,
watch it.
no.
So please enlighten us.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting things I wanted to mention. There has been a discussion online ever since the end of, what happened with the Avengers of who bought Stark Tower, aka Avengers Tower, and it appears that Val, played by
Ah, Valentina.
yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her character, it seems like maybe she purchased Avengers Tower because we
Mm,
see the members of the Thunderbolts being brought into this, you know, skyscraper. It looks like it's probably that. So that's interesting. One thing.
okay.
The second thing is obviously the asterisks because I've heard that the movie might not actually be called Thunderbolts. That the movie this is very strange, but the movie might actually be called Dark Avengers, and they're just
Ooh,
hiding the title behind this asterisk and Thunderbolts because Thunderbolts, that's a reference to Thunderbolt Ross, who we know is going to be in Captain America Brave New World in February. That's Harrison
right.
Ford will play Thunderbolt Ross, who then becomes Red
Replacing
Hulk,
William
William Hurt.
Hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
obviously, you'd think in a movie called Thunderbolts that Thunderbolt Ross will be in the movie, but from all accounts, it doesn't seem like he is. And
Interesting.
so I don't know if it's because they've made changes over the years or whatever, but
Yeah.
the asterisk was a new thing. That they dropped that this I think it was around Comic-Con is when they dropped that
Mm,
around that time. Maybe
okay.
it's no, I think it was CinemaCon, I believe.
Mm.
So there's something to that asterisk. So I'm really interested to see how that plays into the marketing because if you're if you're gonna have a movie, like how do you promote a movie that's actually called another movie? Like that's very interesting. That
Well, I mean, Captain America, with Sam Wilson, that had a different title, and then they
no,
changed
they
it.
changed the title, but what I'm saying is this movie I think the title of the movie is gonna change after we see the movie or something. It
Oh,
sounds like a crazy
wait,
idea. Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's why they have the asterisk because it's like,
Oh, this is
it's not
bizarre.
really or maybe it's gonna
So
change, like, right before it comes out. I don't know, but the
that would make
asterisk
more
is
sense.
something that's very curious to me. But I do like the visuals. I do like what we've seen what we see in the trailer. Um,
Mm, okay.
okay, that yeah,
Well,
I think George
Christian
has a comment. Yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
Christians says, I believe in the comics there was one with the asterisk in it.
Okay.
So, okay. I am not a comic book
Yeah.
reader. I swear to God, I can fucking talk. I am not a comic book reader.
Yeah.
So I am going based on whatever information we were being given. If
Yeah.
the comic book readers out there have more information to share, as long as it doesn't spoil it, let's put it that way.
Right.
Please let us know. And yeah, but I wonder if the change comes as a result of the fact that William Hurt was, I think, originally attached to the project, and then of course he, passed away and what have you. Yes, we have a replacement that is one Harrison Ford
Mhm.
who is appearing in the Captain America movie, but I can't imagine why he wouldn't be associated with this particular project unless there's a reason for it.
I mean, if you watch this trailer and see how they bring these characters together, it very much seems like this is gonna be their version of Suicide Squad. It's just Marvel making a Suicide Squad movie, so it's gonna be a better
Okay.
version of that kind of where the villains become anti-heroes, become kinda heroes. That seems like what we're gonna get. We're gonna get
I
US Agent.
love morally gray characters.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what these characters are. So,
Love that.
it looks like Bucky is gonna be,
Woo!
like, in charge of them, or obviously Val is in charge, but Bucky's gonna be the leader, maybe, or maybe it's Florence Pugh, I don't know, because she's obviously the
She's
title.
kind of badass.
Yeah, I think she's got the top billing in the cast, but,
Mm,
no, it looked really cool, like, it had kind of a cool vibe to it,
Okay.
The music in the trailer was pretty cool. So I'm
Nice.
interested because honestly, I didn't know what this movie really was going to be. The fact that the asterisk is there, that's kind of mostly what I knew besides the people who are in the film,
Mhm.
to actually finally see it. And I wasn't expecting to see any kind of trailer for it because it doesn't come out until May. Or is it May? No, it comes out in oh yeah, it's May. Yeah, because Captain America is gonna be sorry, they've
I
moved
know
these dates a couple of times, and so I'm just like visualizing in my head like the calendar, and yeah, it is May.
I know
'Cause
you can't calendar like I can.
yeah, because Captain America is February, then this is gonna be in May, and then Fantastic Four supposedly is gonna happen in July. Now, we will see. I hope it does, but there's also another big movie that's in July that I'm really interested in. That's Superman, James Gunn Superman. So also Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth is gonna come out in July,
The
which
fact that that title has been uttered from your mouth
with
after you watched the latest
but do
Jurassic
you know
Park,
who's in this movie?
I don't care.
Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali are starring in
Okay,
Jurassic
now I
World
care.
Rebirth. Yeah, it's just yeah. I mean the
Listen, my
yeah,
boy Mahershala is being done wrong by Marvel
right.
right now because they can't get a GD director for Blade. I need him to shine in something, okay? And I'm a little distressed that it's Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
but I I'll I hope it's not like a continuation from the last film because I haven't watched that last film. I'm not going to watch that last film, but I will say, sidebar, Velocicoaster, worth it. Everyone go ride that roller coaster. It is so amazing. Sorry.
Very cool. Yeah. Um, so, speaking of that movie, we've got, in that Jurassic World movie is Mahershala Ali, who is, of
Right.
course, signed on to do Blade. Now, Blade, if you go to Marvel.com, even right now, I think they still have on their website that Blade is supposedly coming out November 2025. Now, that's
Okay.
very, very, very likely not
Unlikely.
gonna happen because they don't have a director yet. But the
Yep.
rumor now is that, Jordan Peele, is gonna direct that movie. So that would be interesting because Blade is kind of a horror character. Jordan Peele has, made a lot of horror movies over the years, and that seems like that's his interest after his, Key and Peele days have ended. So,
Okay.
that would be very interesting, and,
That would be.
looking forward to that. Obviously, we're gonna talk about all this stuff when it comes out, but, I did wanna mention Thunderbolts because it's been a big mystery to me. Like, everyone was focusing on the asterisk, but I was focusing on the question mark of, like, what the hell is this movie? Now that we finally got to see something from it, I'm excited. I think it looks really, really cool. So, we'll definitely be covering that when it gets much closer to us. And of course, we'll also be
Yes.
covering episode 4 of Agatha all along next week.
We will.
We'll also be covering episode 3 of oh no, I'm sorry, episode 2 of The Penguin.
Yes.
The thing about The
Yes.
Penguin, that episode 1 was so good, I thought it was a 2-hour double episode, but no, it's just 1 episode,
No.
but we will be
Listen,
reviewing yeah, go ahead.
The Penguin surprised the mess out of me. I
Yeah,
remember, talking about this with Christian in while I was in Orlando about, "Hey, we're gonna cover Agatha all along," or I'm not sure at the time. I said, "I'm not
yeah,
sure which we're actually gonna cover weekly in terms of Agatha or the Penguin," and his recommendation, of course, was Agatha all along. He goes,
yeah,
like, "Yeah, definitely do Agatha, like, forget about the Penguin," basically. And you know what? As a non-DC fan for the majority of their projects, with the exception of The Flash and Wonder Woman. I will correct myself and say Wonder Woman.
yeah.
This show worth watching
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
sure, for sure. And so for me to be saying that, kind of a like, just trust me
yeah.
on this one.
I like both shows, both Agatha and The Penguin.
Yeah,
I do think The Penguin is probably a better show. Like I think it's more of like an awards type show. It's got the HBO prestige all over it.
yeah, it does. It
But
looks like a movie.
yeah, but Agatha All Along is also a great show, and
Yes,
I'm glad
for
we
sure.
have these two shows, to keep up with from both the big companies from DC and from Marvel. So
Yep,
we'll be doing that, and of course, we have our football podcast every Tuesday night, Watchers
yep.
Football Weekly. So join us. We'll be talking week 4, which week 4 actually got started tonight with the Cowboys and the Giants on Thursday Night Football. So
Boo,
yeah, so
boo.
those are my two least favorite teams. So if
We dem boys my
yeah
ass.
yeah They're 1 and 2. I'm not sure they're faring right
Woo!
now, but we will talk about that on our next Watchers Football Weekly podcast. So be sure to join us for that.
Yeah, if you're
But
into the pigskin,
yep,
go watch
we're
these guys.
we're gonna cover it all. We're covering
Yep,
it all. So
for sure.
that about does it for this week's episode. Now that you know we think about Agatha all along and a lot of other things, we would know what you think about it. And Brittany, how can people let us know?
I mean, every single time we encourage everyone to join us in our live chat, just like Christian of McDorks did. And I believe we saw King
Yep.
B. Johnson earlier as well.
Yep.
So yeah, try to join us for our live streams. We really appreciate those who take the time out of their day to join us and share with us their thoughts and feedback and what have you. It's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more fun to be able to bounce ideas and theories and such off each other. So join us for the live chat while you're considering that. Actually, don't consider, just do it.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the Watchers in the Basement. Currently, at time of recording, we're at 408 subscribers. Let's keep going higher with that number, y'all. Let's keep doing it. Also, don't forget to like this live stream, and don't forget to hit the notification button. That way you know the next time we go live, which, as Justin mentioned, will be tomorrow for the football podcast.
Oh, no, that's next week. Next week, yeah.
God, I swear to God, I can't get anything
It's okay.
right.
It's okay, but every week for the next several weeks, we're going to be doing the Penguin. We're going to be doing the NFL and Agatha all
along. Good Lord.
3 pods a week.
It's
a lot. That's why
got a lot of content.
Sometimes our tongues are twisted and our
I don't know
minds
why
are
I thought
fried.
why I thought today was Monday. My bad.
Today's Thursday. Yeah.
Thank God.
I think
Okay.
you just love the work week and you don't want it to end. That's what it is. So
yeah, we need you to stop talking. Anyway, so subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to leave a comment if you're watching the replay and let us know what you thought about this week's Agatha episode. And lastly, we also have audio podcasts available to you on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a follow over there and give us a 5-star rating. Also, lastly, don't forget, use the hashtag Watchers Basement when talking about our podcast. Share with others that we're here and we're covering all this content. That way they can join in on the fun as well.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road.
Sing us out, Brittany. Sing us out. Have a good night, y'all. Bye-bye.